So the first thing I'm going to make is a pressure cooker taco bake. And it's super, super easy. All I did so far is I got I started browning the ground turkey, just so that we wouldn't have to wait for that. And this is 1 pound or one of those, usually the ground turkey, I feel like comes in those like 20-ounce packages. So it's 1 package of ground turkey or 1 pound. So all I'm doing right now is, like I said, just browning this off. Don't know why. Okay, so in the pressure cooker, I have got, like I said, the ground turkey. You could use ground beef. You could use soy crumbles. You could really use whatever ground product you like. We just like this with turkey. So I've browned the meat, and the next ingredient is going to be some low sodium or salt-free taco seasoning. You're going to want 2 tablespoons of this. The recipe actually says 6 teaspoons, which is the same as 2 tablespoons. So I don't know why I wrote it that way. 2 tablespoons of that. All right. Next ingredient is going to be 8 ounces of just plain tomato sauce, these itty bitty little cans here. And I like to make sure I get every last drop. Next ingredient is going to be some, even though I'm using ground turkey, I love to use beef stock in this meal. I just love the flavor it gives. You could use chicken stock, veggie stock, whatever you like. And yes, like she said, I do have the chat open. If you guys have questions or comments, can't see the Q&A, but I can see the chat. So I love actually to use when I need to have a recipe that calls for stock or chicken, any kind of stock. I love to use this Better Than Bouillon product. It's basically a concentrated, I'm not getting any money off of this. I'm just saying I really like it for a tip. It's a concentrated reduced stock basically, and all you need to do is rehydrate it. So when I need 1 cup of stock, I mix a teaspoon of it with a cup of hot water. When I need 2 teaspoons with 2 cups of water, and I can make as much as I want, and it lasts much longer than those boxes of stock where if you need to use 2 cups, then you still, you've got to use the rest of the container up. Just a little tip. And then you just dissolve it in the water. So in goes our 2 cups of stock. All right, we're almost done. Believe it or not, we are almost done with this recipe. Now I'm adding 8 ounces of uncooked. These are the hard, crunchy pasta shells. Get my little spoon here. So all this liquid in here is going to do all the work of cooking the pasta, so we don't need to have a separate pot. Literally, this is a 1-pot meal. Okay, so ideally we want most of our noodles to be covered. Okay, I'm going to add just a smidge more water here to cover them up so they cook all the way. That's fine. All right, so basically get them sort of covered up. And now we let the pressure cooker do the work. I'm going to back this away. We're going to go to our skillet next. And make sure the pressure cooker is on the sealed. And for this, we are going to set it for 5 minutes. And this takes about 8 minutes, I'd say, to get to pressure. So when you add in the 8 minutes to get to pressure, the 5 minutes to cook, 5 minutes to brown, we're talking 20-ish minutes. Yeah, I love anything where you do not have to cook the rice or the pasta in a separate dish. I'm all about those meals. So this is going to be delicious. All we are going to add to this when it's done is some corn, if you like, for a veggie, and some cheese. But right now, we are just going to let that go, and we are going to move on to recipe 2. So recipe 2, we are making an orange veggie stir fry. You could totally add some tofu to this if you'd like. You could add some chicken to this. I like it just veggie, and I serve it over brown rice, or you could serve it over quinoa as well. And it does have edamame in it, so it's got a protein source. So you don't need to add any other protein if you don't want to. So another thing I like to do to save dishes is when I am making, and you're not going to see me for a minute because I want you to see what's down here. When I am making any kind of sauce, I always love to do it in a liquid measuring cup, because then I can just say, oh, it needs a half a cup of this. Let me do that. A cup of this. And so I'm not dirtying as many utensils. So this recipe, I'm starting by just making the sauce, and we're going to set it aside. So we need a cup of orange juice, whatever orange juice you like. Could be fresh squeezed if you like, but that's a heck of a lot of oranges. We are going to add 1/3 cup of brown sugar. If sugar is an issue, you could totally reduce this amount, but you do need a little bit, just because to cut some of that, that sort of tart. This is almost like a sweet and sour kind of dish. So we're going to get 1/3 cup of brown sugar. Spilled sugar, there we go. I'm going to pop that in there. You're also adding some rice vinegar. If you don't have rice vinegar, the next closest thing is going to be cider vinegar. Both cider and cider vinegar and rice vinegar are both very sweet and mild. While this may look more like white vinegar is much more harsh. If that's all you have, go ahead and use it. Maybe cut down the vinegar just a smidge. Okay. And I'm going to get a little bitty whisk out, and I'm going to add some crushed red pepper flakes. I am not a heat lover. These add a nice little flavor. The recipe calls for a teaspoon of these. I'll tell you what I put in. I put in like that many, not anywhere near a teaspoon, but that's the whole cool thing. You get to, you're cooking at home, you can make it as spicy or mild as you like. Yes, you will be getting these recipes. Okay, so this is our sauce. We're going to say bye-bye sauce, and we're going to set that over. Oh, I should have done this before. So now I'm going to turn my pan on, and I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons of olive oil, basically, just a drizzle of olive oil there. And to that, we're going to add not quite a full red pepper, because this one is a big pepper. And I'm going to take an onion. This is sort of a big onion as well. So I'm just going to take some hunks of these off. There we go. And you can cut the onion and the pepper as big or as small as you like it. I tend to like my onions cut very, very small, so they pretty much dissolve in the meal. I don't like to bite into the onion, but I really like the flavor it gives. The red peppers, I don't mind so much if they're a little bit bigger. They don't need to dissolve. So while our oil is heating up, I'm just going to give these a little chop. You guys can see. So I like to slice one way, then turn everything, especially when it comes to onions, because they already have those inner slices. Turn it and chop the other way. So like I said, about a tablespoon or so in the pan, heating up over here. Make sure you can see that. And I will just throw these in. Oh, got a little piece of onion skin. We don't want that. And you can use green peppers in this, orange peppers, yellow peppers. We're actually going to throw in, where'd it go? A little jalapeno pepper, which, believe it or not, does not really contribute a lot of heat. Oh, you know what? I forgot to get my little rubber gloves. I'll get those in a minute. Okay. So this really is a quick and easy meal. This is pretty much the hardest, most time-consuming part, and it's because I'm picky about cutting my onions small. Okay, we'll get those in there. Get them sauteed. Okay. And then we're gonna cut off, I'm gonna use the majority of this pepper, but we're gonna save the rest for the next recipe we're making. Okay. I'm just gonna cut it this way. All right, so these, ooh, got a lot of pepper juice just in my eye. So I'm just more rough chopping these. Not nearly as concerned with how big or small these are. You know what? I turned the wrong burner. No, I turned the right burner on. I have a habit of turning the wrong burner on. But I didn't. I turned the right one on. Okay. Okay. I can hear that pressure cooker coming to steam there, coming to pressure. Oh, you know what? Hold on one second. I locked my family out of the house. Hold on. Sorry about that. I told them to come in the back door and I forgot to unlock it. Okay. So we get all of our peppers in here and start those cooking up. All right, so we're just going to grab a spatula. I can hear these starting to sizzle and they smell so good. All right, so I just want to get these nice and soft. So while they are softening, see me for a minute, we are going to chop up a little bit of jalapeno and some garlic. So let me get my rubber glove. If you've never worked with jalapenos before, I don't recommend touching the seeds or the ribs where the seeds stick onto, or at least wash your hands very, very well. I have, in my experience, I've tried washing my hands after, then, rubbed my itchy eye during allergy season, and ooh, did that sting. So now I just try to use gloves. So we're going to make sure all our peppers are in there. The seeds and the ribs, according to most people, is where most of the heat is. So I take all this part out. I'm just going to, you just use your thumb and it just sort of breaks right out. Now, I suppose if you were going to leave them in there and not really handle them like I am, you could skip the gloves, but I'm really getting things in there. Do I season as I go? I sort of, not so much, I mean, in terms of, are you thinking like salt and pepper seasoning? I sort of wait until the end and see if it needs it. Because there's so many flavors that are going to be going on in here. So we've got the vinegar, we've got the sugar, we've got the garlic, we've got the red pepper flakes, the jalapenos. It may not really need salt, so I'd rather wait and see when it's done. So I'm gonna pan you down a little bit again. There we go. So I do like to chop up the jalapenos pretty fine and make them, little skinny bits, and then I chop them. But just because, other people in my house would be fine biting into a whole hunk of jalapeno, but I want to, so I'll do it like that, turn it, and now I just make itty bitty, itty bitty, itty bitties. And I just sort of pulverize it. All right, and now we need about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic, depending on, oh, that's a big one. So we're just going to use 3 big cloves. I don't want my garlic and my jalapeno to, burn. So I really wait until my onion and peppers are nice and soft before I add these. So I'm going to just get them all ready, and then I can add them when it's all set. You can use the garlic in the jar if you like, if that's easier for you. Heck, you could even use garlic powder. But I do like to, if I have the time, and because this is such a quick and easy meal, I like to use a microplane and I grate it right in. So it's sort of almost pureed. Oh, that one has a yucky spot. So we'll that off. All right. So, oh man, we've been going for 20 minutes and we have one dish just that has like 2 minutes left on it. And we have another dish that we are almost done. So I'm going to slow down, man. We got a whole hour to talk. All right. Of course, I can't get the little skin off this dude. How long does it take me to make and cook everything? Well, it depends. Are you talking all 3 recipes or each recipe? So the pressure cooker one, like I said, that's a 20 minutes. There, we just dumped everything in. That's going to be done from start to finish, from before I started browning the meat. I would say, well, okay, since it's not, I would say 25 minutes on the pressure cooker one, the taco skillet bake. For this, taco pasta bake. For this one, it really depends on, so what we are going to do after we soften this, we are going to be adding our garlic and our jalapeno. We're going to add some veggies and some edamame, saute those a little bit. Then we're going to add our juice, our sauce that we made, and just cook it down to whatever texture as you want. Oh, you know what? I don't technically have a stovetop recipe, ouch, for the pressure cooker one, but you could easily just do it. Get a nice, like, deep-sided pot, not super deep. Do exactly what I did, brown the meat, add what I added in up to the pasta, the liquids, everything else, and then cover it and let it simmer on low, maybe 12, 15, 18 minutes. You're going to have to check it just until the pasta has absorbed all the water, and then you can just continue with the way I did it. I'm going to do it. So we are going to let our peppers and garlic continue to soften. So, and then I'm going to release the pressure. So this is going to be super loud for 1 minute. All right. So the rest of this, so I would say this orange veggie stir fry from start to finish. Let's see, 5, 6, 10, maybe 20 minutes. But if you like your, I'm going to add some broccoli and cauliflower. If you like yours on the softer side, then it's going to maybe, you're going to have to just let it simmer a little bit longer. But it's really, it's up to you. It's a pretty, these are all pretty quick meals. I am interested in, oh shoot, I lost it. Hold on, I got it, there we go. I'm interested in adapting the recipes for ordinary stovetop use. Yeah, like I said, that taco pasta, bake, I don't even know why it's called a bake, it doesn't bake. Easily adaptable on the stovetop, like the way I said it. Okay, all right. So now I'm going to show you, we're going to move back to pot 1. Oops, tilt it up a bit. And now I can easily spin that. So we have got, where did I put my spoon? These noodles are totally all cooked. Okay, a little bit of water, or no, water stock, I guess, a little bit of juice in there. So if I wanted, I could throw this on for another minute. I might actually just sort of let this set for a minute while some of that steam helps some of the liquid evaporate. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to throw in what is basically a can of corn. I opened it the other day and took out a smidge. Don't have to add the can of corn. I just, again, for me, now this is a 1-pot dinner with the veggies and everything included. So for me, there we go. I like that. The only thing we are doing before we are serving this is we are going to sprinkle about 1.5 to 2 cups of like a Mexican cheese. You could use cheddar cheese. You could use whatever kind of cheese you want. I like the Mexican cheese. We are going to stir that in and put the lid back on. And then we are done. We're not going to lock it. We're just going to sort of, oh shoot, now you can't see what I'm doing. I turned you too much. Here we go. So I'm going to turn my pressure cooker off because I don't need it to cook anymore. I'm going to stir this cheese in and then just put the lid on. Like I said, I'm not locking it. I'm just setting it there so till the cheese melts. So 1 meal down. So now we're back to this meal. So my onions and peppers are super soft, super sweet smelling. Onions are starting to brown. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to add in my jalapeno. And then I'm going to take my garlic. And like I said, I'm just going to microplane this in there. Ooh, that was a big clove of garlic. And see, it accumulates on the bottom. Then when I'm done, I can just scrape it all in there. So the next ingredient in this recipe is actually 2 cups of broccoli florets. But I actually had some friends over the other day, and one of them brought a big veggie platter, and nobody ate all the cauliflower and broccoli. So I decided we're going to turn this into a broccoli and cauliflower dish. So I was saving money there. I didn't have to buy more broccoli and let that cauliflower go to waste. We're just changing this dish up a bit. And I'm going to stir these. I'm going to turn this down a smidge. Oops, jalapenos are popping. All over the place. Oh, one just popped right out of the pan. Okay. For sake of time, we're done with our garlic. So now I just take all this garlic. Oh, and it is just all mashed up in there. Done with that. So now I do not want, this is a really hot pan. I don't want that garlic to burn. The burnt garlic is not good garlic. So I'm going to take my other veggies to cool off the pan. So I have got, whoops, forgot where I am. I've got 2 cups of broccoli and cauliflower florets. That's going to help cool down our pan a little bit. And then I'm adding about a cup of shelled frozen thawed edamame. Let's see here. Oh, that's what I need. Yeah, you can totally have everything chopped and prepared. I mean, that's what they do on the cooking shows. That's why the cooking looks so easily fast, because everything is chopped and ready. So I had, and honestly, that's what I usually do for a lot of these cooking demos. Like I had the broccoli and the cauliflower all ready to go. I did chop the peppers and onions because I needed to do something for you guys. All right, so we have a little bit of garlic sticking, but it's not burning. When we add our sauce in, we're going to sort of deglaze that. That's going to help get those off. So what I'm doing now is I'm just stirring this broccoli and cauliflower and edamame until that broccoli gets that nice bright green color. We know it's perfect. Perfect for many. My family actually likes it a bit on the soft side. So that's what I'm saying. When we add the sauce, I let it simmer on low a little longer till it cooks. But at that stage, when you add that sauce, it can be done whenever you want it done. Yeah, I mean, anytime you can take some convenience. If you can buy the frozen chopped things, that saves time. And then, yeah, you pull out exactly what you need so you don't have to worry about anything going bad. Frozen produce is great, super affordable, so it's good for the budget, but it's a great time-saving tool as well, or ingredient, I guess. So our broccoli, you can see it's starting to take on that brighter green color. So now remember the sauce that we made? Okay. So I will say the next ingredient after I add this sauce is the zest of an orange. I forgot to buy an orange. So we're skipping that step. But I usually take that opportunity to say, oh, the zest adds so much flavor. And it really does. I just forgot to buy the orange. I was thinking, oh, I have the orange juice. Yeah, I have orange zest. No, I don't. All right, so now we're going to pour this in. Yeah, that's why I really like using a red pepper. Somebody commented on the colors. I really love using a red pepper in this versus a green pepper. I personally like the taste of the red peppers better, but it looks so pretty. I mean, this would be beautiful at Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. All right, so now we are going to reduce the heat. So now just in dumping that liquid, now all that garlic that was stuck to the bottom of my pan, it's not stuck anymore. That vinegary liquid just sort of released it all and put it back in the sauce. So we're getting all that flavor. Okay, so all this is going to do is it is going to, I've already reduced with about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch in this bowl, and I'm adding that to completely thicken up the sauce more. So basically we want it just to reduce a little bit, simmer and reduce a little bit now. And while that's happening, we can check our delicious taco. Why can I never line up the camera? There we go. Nope, wrong way. This way. There we go. Our delicious taco pasta. And we are going to start our 3rd recipe. So this one's almost done, not quite. Our 3rd recipe is going to be black bean broccoli quesadilla. Quesadillas are fantastic ways, excuse me, to use up leftovers. You can just take whatever kind of cheese you want, a couple of whole wheat tortillas, put some leftovers in there, throw them together, the cheese is your glue, and there you go. So what we are doing today, I am taking, so you know what, first, think Heidi, I'm adding a couple teaspoons or a tablespoon. I will show you this pan once it gets more interesting, but I'm literally just adding a little bit of oil to it right now. A little bit of canola oil. You can use olive oil, whatever. And I am turning that burner on to just under medium, I would say. All right. Now, while that is happening, hold on, I don't need a recipe on a hot burner. Okay. So I'm going to tilt you down a little bit so you can see me. We're going back to pepper chopping. Now, in this recipe, remember the last recipe, I said, I don't really care how big my peppers are. In this one, I do want them small. This is a quesadilla. I don't want huge hunks of something falling out. I want it to mix in and be able to stay. And I want to get a little in each bite. So these, I am going to cut. I'm going to be more particular about my slices or my dices. Okay, so we've got that. So this is a great, like I said, quesadillas are great for leftovers. This wasn't technically a cooked leftover, but it was just a little bit of something left over from the prior meal. I love to, we'll typically, like, if we have leftover chicken, my kids' favorite quesadilla is usually leftover chicken, cheese, black beans, and corn. So, like, I might do quesadillas, like, shortly after we had taco night, maybe, because that's when I may have some leftover corn, leftover black beans that we can just throw in there. Some already pre-shredded cheese from taco night. All right. All right, so in a minute, we are going to saute. Whoops, that guy got out of there. And it's probably going to be too peppery, but can't leave this guy all alone. All right, so I'm going to dump this in this skillet over here. I'm going to try and get the camera so you guys can see both skillets. So let's see. Let's make this work. Oh, we can, look at that. Okay, so we have got this guy over here simmering away. And we need a new spatula. And we have got this guy over here, hopefully starting to saute. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are taking, I took some broccoli, a little bit, so it was basically a little bit of the broccoli I had left over from this dish here. I just took a little bit out. I cut it into much smaller pieces than I did for the original recipe, and I steamed it. So I'm going to sort of just squeeze out the water with my hands. We don't want watery quesadilla filling. Whoops, squeezing over the wrong bowl. All right, so here we are basically making our quesadilla filling, which is going to include our sauteed peppers here. So we got to get them moving. We're going to turn that up a little. I don't think I need, oh no, you know what? I do want that. All right, so in here we have roughly a cup of cooked broccoli. You know what? I am going to cut a couple of these guys up a little bit smaller, just for the same reason that I cut those peppers up so small. Okay. We've got everybody. I'm going to turn one up. This one's good. Like I said, you could, this one here, you could, if you're happy with the consistency of these veggies, you could throw in that cornstarch and orange juice right now. But I like mine, and then serve it. But I do like mine, like I said, a little bit on the softer side. Our peppers are sauteing up nicely. So back to our bowl. So in here we have our cooked, there we go, our cooked broccoli. I happen to have some leftover black beans from something I did the other day. So roughly we want a cup of, I always get the low sodium black beans and I rinse and drain those well. Then we are going to, sorry, I don't have a lot of counter space, so I need to remember where I put everything. Strategically located. Then we are going to add about a half a cup of salsa, whatever kind you prefer, your favorite salsa, homemade salsa, spicy salsa, mild, black bean, pineapple, mango. I don't care. You're eating it. All right, so we want about a half a cup of salsa to go in here. I sort of adapted this recipe from something else, and I can't remember now how they did it, but it was just silly. It was sort of like 8 million steps. I found it much easier to mix everything together and then put it on my tortillas. All right, so we're done with that. I am going to stir our peppers over here. I am going to stir our broccoli saute here. And now we're going to do a little bit of garlic powder and chili powder. We need a 1/4 teaspoon of each. And we're going to mix the cheese right in here. I always call the cheese in quesadillas, they're the glue. So by getting them mixed in here very well, then we know it's all gonna glue up together. It's not the prettiest looking thing, I'll tell you that, but it tastes good. All right, our peppers are still sauteing here. This dish is bubbling away nicely. So we want about a half a cup of shredded cheddar cheese. You could use a different kind of cheese if you like. I really like this, the Cabot sharp cheddar. I think it's very, very good. So, again, it's quesadillas. This is not rocket science. I just sort of eyeball everything. Okay, so now we want to take our peppers. I'm going to turn them off the heat. Let them cool down ever so slightly so they don't just melt all of our cheese, but to make our quesadilla so we don't have to dirty up another pan. All right, so this is what we're getting. All right, that's our filling. And I am going to just add some of these peppers right in there. Yeah, all of them really. Okay, don't even need to clean the pan, but I am just going to wipe the grease down the side so it doesn't get on the oven. So this is what we have left. We have some nice roasted pepper flavored oil, and we can use that to cook our quesadilla in. So we keep all that flavored oil in there. We stir this around. And there's our filling. So for a minute, I'm going to go back to our orange veggie stir fry because it's bubbling away. Here we go. So this very nice quesadilla filling. Turn back over here. So this is very, very bubbly now. Things have cooked for quite a bit of time. I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to take 3 tablespoons of OJ. Oops, there we go. And I'm going to mix into that 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So cornstarch is one of those things, it's a great thickener, but you can't add it to hot liquids. So if I put it in this pot now, it would just lump all up. So what you need to do, if you haven't ever used it, is you combine it first with a cold liquid, get it all fully dissolved. You just add quinoa to that mix, cover it and let it soak up. Yeah, I don't know why you couldn't. I might, if I were gonna do that, so then I would skip the thickener. But I might actually, well, it depends on how much quinoa. I guess you could put like a 1/2 cup of quinoa in there, or you could experiment. You may need a little bit more liquid, maybe just a little like chicken stock or veggie stock to be enough for the quinoa. But yeah, then skip this step. Yep, that's a good idea. All right, so now this is just sort of separate. Oh, you guys can't see that part. There we go. All right. So now as I'm putting in, and you don't want to let this set because it will thicken up or it will, lump up. So now it's thick. I'm mixing it all around. Now that sauce is nice and thick. And in a minute, it's going to sort of turn more sheer and glossy. And this is ready to go. So I'm turning that burner off. And now, yeah, so if we skip the thickening, we could put the quinoa right in here. You could do the same with brown rice if you wanted, or we can thicken it and cook the rice or the quinoa separately. Honestly, what I like to do is those little pouches of brown rice or quinoa in the microwave. So I don't have a pot for that either. Okay, so recipe number 2, all done. We are almost done our quesadilla. So I am going to turn that burner back on. I just use whole wheat tortillas. Get a whole grain in there. It's an easy whole grain to get for me. And I am, oh good, you guys can see. I forgot I didn't put you back on me. So we're just going to take a couple of mounds of this basically. You don't want too much because you don't want it to fall out. Just sort of flatten it out. So we clearly have enough for a couple of quesadillas. Okay, now I put the top guy on. Actually, I always think of this after the fact. We could have put the first tortilla in, then put the filling on, and then top it. Until I'm actually doing it. So we're going to move over to this pan. We are going to carefully take our filled quesadilla. Pop it on. I like to press it down, get that cheese nice and melty. And now we just let that go for a minute. So like I said, we have got 1 meal, 2 meal, 3 meal. Well, that is cooking. Make some room here to bring my cooked quesadilla. All right, let's clear some space out here. And save our knife because we're going to use that to cut a quesadilla. I'm going to pop it right onto this cutting board. Did not use those. All right, let's give a little check here. See what it looks like. Oh, it's, you know what? I think I'm going to flip it. All right. I'm going to get my handle out of my way. Prepare for things to go flying out. You know what? This is a heavy quesadilla. So we are going to get the big guns. All right. Come on. There. Oh, I had it too. Oh my gosh. You would never guess that I make quesadillas all the time. There we go. All right, I'm right under there. Perfect. All right, you ready? Here we go. Super fast. Nice and golden, a little crunchy. Cook it on the other side. Thank you. Sort of like unmolding a jelly roll cake. And they'll drop. Or making crepes. Okay, so this one's good. And we just got about a minute more and this will cook. Do you guys have any questions about anything? While we're waiting for this guy. I'm not going to let it cook too long because I hate it. I always frequently do the first side perfectly. I flip it, then I go start washing dishes and I'm like, oh shoot, and the second side burns. So we're not going to burn it today. But I will give a little peep. Not quite yet. But our cheese is melty, so I do want to sort of press things down and make sure that yeah, you're right, the second side always cooks faster. And I never think about that. And like I said, between it cooking faster and me doing things, I always forget. I don't add any additional oil to the pan. You could if your pan's dried out. But there we go. Let's turn this off. I think this is perfect, except I'm filling it. Why didn't I get the big spatula again? All right. So that, oh, quesadilla maker. Oh, that would be much easier. All right, so now what I do, I just cut it one way, cut it this way. And I know it's the same amount of food, but I like to cut it this way so that everybody gets the little ones. I just think the little ones are easier to eat than the big ones. Now we have 8 perfect quesadilla wedges. Voila. All right. So we did it. Oh, a pizza cutter. That's a good idea too. But this knife for me works really well because it's long enough that I can just chop and chop and chop. So yeah, pizza cutter is a good idea too. Oh, let's see, go to me. All right, so 3 recipes. We have a turkey-based one. We have 2 veggie-based ones. You could easily add some grilled chicken to this. You could add grilled chicken or tofu or soy crumbles to this. You could have done this with soy crumbles or ground beef. So lots of different options that you can do. And yeah, so we did everything. Those are our 3 recipes and we survived. Now you guys get to get on with your day and I get to wash all these dishes.